Going through the admissions and financial aid process can be pretty overwhelming. There are so many different terms: FAFSA, grants, CSS profile, EFC, COA, scholarships. I could go on and on with all of these different key terms. Now, today, I wanted to explain the difference between two that you probably often hear, and that is scholarships versus financial aid. Are they the same? Are they interchangeable? Or what is the difference? So after today's video, I want you to clearly understand the difference. And the reason I want you to understand the difference is because then you and your student can really maximize that debt-free money that's out there in order to pay for college. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures, ones where their student is not saddled with student debt for decades to come. Now, make sure you hit subscribe because every single week I am releasing a new strategy on working towards that debt-free degree, including covering all those other terms that I threw out there. Now, overall, financial aid, some people use this to cover anything that's used to pay for college. Now, through the Scholarship System and Debt-Free Degree Lab with our families, we really narrow that down a little bit more, which I'll explain in just a moment. But financial aid can be a broad description. So while scholarships are a more specific type of money that can fall within financial aid, but it can also fall outside of financial aid. For example, the financial aid package from a university can include scholarships, but it can also include work study, student loans. It can have grants, all these different types of monies. And again, then you have scholarships that can fall within financial aid and scholarships that can fall outside of them. So just quickly, the best way to describe this is to share my story. So I actually managed to get 6 figures in scholarships and graduated completely debt-free, to where I actually received an overage check every semester while I was in college. And the reason I was able to pull that off wasn't because I got a ton of money from the university. You see those students out there that got $10 billion in offers from universities. For most of us average people, that was not going to be the case, okay? So I had to really figure out, how can I, an average student, get a debt-free degree? And that was by combining different types of money. And so I did receive some money from the university through my financial aid package. But in addition to that, I applied for a ton of outside scholarships from outside sources. Now, if you're curious what outside sources there are that are legitimate and less competitive, make sure you register for my free training below. It's where I cover my 6 steps that got me to 6 figures and has gotten our other families in our system to over $10 million now to date. So let's go through each type of money that can fall within financial aid first. So the first one I want to cover is federal and state grants. So this is, again, debt-free money that does not have to be paid back unless your student, perhaps there was some sort of criteria and then they no longer met the criteria. For example, some grants could be focused on their major or their career path, like teaching. And if they no longer are a teacher, they may owe that money back. Now, to be eligible for this, really all of this financial aid through the university, your family has to submit FAFSA. If you want to see all of my videos on FAFSA, we'll link to the FAFSA playlist in the description below. We have very specific strategies that come into how to maximize money from FAFSA. Now, just some examples of some of the grants. You have Pell Grants. This is a common one, and this is typically based on low-income families. So a lot of times if you get your EFC, your expected family contribution figure from the FAFSA results, then you can quickly see whether or not your family would fall into this grant. Another one is the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, or FSEOG. We also have a Teacher Education Assistance for College and Higher Education, so the TEACH grant. And then we have some for service members, Iraq and Afghanistan grants. So these are multiple options for students depending on what their career path is, or their history, actually, for that matter. Now, another type of grant could be an employer grant. So this is where maybe an employer offers money to a student, but that would not be offered through the school's financial aid package. So this is where it can kind of get a little gray. You could say that it is financial aid because it's aiding us financially to pay for college, but it's typically not given through the university. It would be given through the employer. Now, another type that can be found in the financial aid package is scholarships. Now, of course, this is my absolute favorite. This is also my bread and butter. I've been doing scholarships now for well over a decade, inside and out, and I know these like the back of my hand. So as far as the financial aid package from the university, scholarships can be offered as part of that. And oftentimes those would be based off of merit or service, community service, athletics. So these usually have to be based off of some sort of merit through the university that they decide on. And some of them can be automatically awarded based on your student's credentials. Some of them your student might have to compete with interviews or essays, etc. Now, I'm going to explain the outside scholarships in just a moment. I want to get through first the financial aid packages, but just know that there are scholarships beyond those. So if you hear that list and you're thinking, I don't think my student will get any of that from this school, then stick with me because that does not rule out scholarships. Now, there are two more types of monies that can be included in the financial aid package. One is called federal work study. Now, this, while they call it aid, it is aid financially, but your student has to work for it. So federal work study is where a student will have to put in hours at a job on the university, on the campus somewhere, maybe say in the food court or the library or tutoring, and then they'll receive that award amount. So this is not just debt-free money that's given to a student. They do have to actually work for it. We have an entire video on federal work study, so you can check that out after this video as well. All of the resources I'm mentioning are in the description. So when we're done, just go down there and check out all the links. And the last type of money that can be rolled into the financial aid package is student debt, student loans. And for me, I hate that this is included in the financial aid because students sometimes will sign up and just accept everything that's in their aid package without realizing that a big portion of it is actually debt. I've met a student that borrowed $13,000 without even realizing it, which is huge. That's not a small amount. So it was because of the way that the package worded it. He thought that all of these awards were things that they didn't have to pay back. So this is something important to know, that they do consider this in the financial aid package. It is rolled in there, but know that you can accept the rest of the financial aid package without accepting the student loans portion if your family is able to secure scholarships or other means to pay for the degree. Now, these student loans, if they're through FAFSA, they are government student loans. We have a video on that as well. And then there are also private student loans that you can get outside of the FAFSA process. But again, we're sticking to the financial aid package here. Now, comment below, if your student already received their financial aid package, what types of money that I just listed above were included in it? I'm really curious to hear what your student received. What kind of mixture was it? Did they get the Pell Grant and some loans, or did they get Pell Grant work study and loans, or maybe they just got loans? Let me know in the comments below. Now, going back to scholarships, like I mentioned, scholarships can be part of that financial aid package through the university. And if that's the case, they're typically for some sort of merit, athletics, something that makes them competitive within the school. But there are scholarships well beyond what the school offers, which is great news for a lot of students because many students don't receive much from the university. In fact, that was my situation. So instead, I focus on outside scholarships or private scholarships. And again, that's where that free training, I walk you through exactly where to find the ones that I focus on because they were legitimate, but they also had less competition. But that said, these can be from different organizations like PTAs, PTSAs, Rotary Clubs, Elk Club, construction companies, grocery stores. We've seen them all, lawyers, doctors, so many different sources of outside scholarships. And the nice thing about this is students can apply for them all the way through their 4 years in college. In fact, I got my final check for a scholarship that I won, and I cashed it on the way home from college graduation. So it is never too late to go after these. So that said, the first thing we want to do is maximize that financial aid package from the university, but then we want to note that there are scholarships beyond that, and we want to focus on those. So that said, there are so many different methods when it comes to paying for college, which is why we do what we do. There's so many different strategies. So again, make sure that you click subscribe because every single week we are covering a new one. But that said, hopefully now you can very clearly see the difference between financial aid and the package from the university and scholarships. Just note that there are scholarships that can be part of that financial aid, but also there is a whole world of scholarships beyond it. And don't forget to sign up for that free training in the description where you can learn how to get those scholarships beyond the financial aid package. All right, I hope that this was helpful. I can't wait to see you in the next video. I'll talk to you soon.